Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick, and we have Harrison with us tonight. How are we doing, Harrison?
Fantastic. How we doing, bud?
Doing pretty well. We got a lot to get to this week. Gonna run down some trade deadline winners and losers. Obviously,
Were there some trades? Did I miss something?
It was a flurry of activity, and it's the most active it's been for the last couple of years. So
I was just going to say the last few years have been huge disappointments. This was finally a good one.
Yeah, we'll get into it. No blockbusters, but just a lot of movement. But
Yep.
All right. Before we get going, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can also follow on Instagram. You can subscribe on YouTube. Also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Before we get into the trade deadline stuff, Blake Snell finally throws a complete game, and it was a no-hitter. Good for him for getting this monkey off his back, if you will. A guy, what do you say, 202 starts, had never
202 career starts.
Yeah, had never gone a complete game.
Had never even gone into the eighth inning.
That's correct. Eighth inning or ninth inning?
I'm pretty sure it was eighth. When I read it, he had never even gone into the eighth inning. He's a 7 inning and less guy.
That's bonkers. Yep. You think of how dominant he was in Tampa Bay and even that little stretch he won the Cy Young Award last year, for crying out loud, and still never threw a complete game. That blows my mind.
Well, and we railed on him last year. He won the Cy Young and he averaged 5 1/3 innings pitched per start. Crazy. Yeah.
So breaking down his no-hitter, we had 11 Ks, 114 pitches. And like I said before we came on, it looked like I watched the last 3 or 4 innings of that game, and his fastball had some life on it that I haven't seen in a while from him.
It did. That fastball was exploding on guys, and there was a lot of late swings and misses, even later in the game. And I'm not sure who it was that said it, but maybe 2 weeks ago, somebody made the comment of, it looks like Blake Snell's found his release point and gotten into a rhythm, because the fastball velocity all of a sudden came up a little bit. The breaking ball was sharper. And you saw it in the no-hitter where he was, in the ninth inning, he was just pumping fastballs over the plate and guys weren't hitting them.
Yeah. His breaking ball, back foot breaking ball was just tying people up too. He looked good. Hate to give the dude credit, but he looked good.
Only took him till August to get his stuff together after the late start. Yeah. So, his record's 1-3. It's not like he's really putting up huge stats, but it's nice to see him finally get it together. The Giants could have used that 2 months ago as they've kind of fallen further out of contention, but he was as good as I've ever seen him.
Yeah. And it's funny that we were sitting here in the, before the season started, and we're like, are we ever going to see a no-hitter thrown by one pitcher anymore? It just seemed like combined no-hitters were happening over and over and over again because pitchers are going max effort 5 innings and then they turn it over to the bullpen. That's just the whole philosophy of pitching right now.
It is. I'm gonna be as dominant, as good as I can for as long as I can hold up, and then I'm gonna turn it over to the bullpen. And if that means I only, Blake Snell's a great example of that. Won the Cy Young last year, averaging 5 1/3. He averaged 99 pitches per start in 5 1/3.
Yeah,
it's just go out there, throw hard, look for Ks, don't let him hit it, and then you get out early, and the bullpen takes over.
Yeah, it's interesting that we've seen 2 complete game no-hitters by a starter. Dylan Cease a couple weeks ago, and then now we got Blake Snell back to back. When you're on. And maybe it's a game where they couldn't spend the bullpen because they did the day before. So it's like, listen, I need you to go out there. But when you're as dominant as Snell was in that start, you're like, well, I'm obviously not taking him out. Unless you're Kevin Cash, you'll take him out in the 6th.
Yeah, and the word is that Bob Melvin had kind of told Snell that I'm only giving you to 120, and then I'm coming to get you because we're not going to let you get hurt. And so what Snell said is that he was kind of pitching to contact aggressively in the 9th inning because he didn't want to get to 120 and get taken out of a potential no-hitter. So it was, like I said, he was as good as I've ever seen. He worked the strike zone hard. His fastball was explosive. His off-speed stuff was nasty, and he worked the zone. He threw 78 of 114 for strikes. That, for him, that's a high ratio. He tends to nibble and get into a lot of deep counts. And he wasn't doing that. He was just attacking.
Yeah. Well, when you have a fastball that's exploding like that, you can afford to attack and get away with some that you maybe leave over the heart of the plate or something, you know.
You can, but that was always the knock on Blake Snell, is that even with the stuff that he had, he'd still nibble and get into, he'd be 100 pitches coming, getting into the fifth inning, and he didn't do that this time around. He just came out aggressively, which is not his MO, but boy did it work.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
I mean, and then Dylan Cease too. Dylan Cease's no hitter was really, really impressive in terms of what he did. But those are two guys that have had kind of similar career trajectories, and we compared them in this offseason with their, statistically, they were not high innings guys. They were high pitch guys. They were nibble, strike out, leave the game early. And you've seen both of those guys this year get more aggressive attack in the zone. And it's where, I mean, Dylan Cease has been as good as he's ever been this season. And he's attacking the zone. And we saw Snell in his last start do the same thing, have his best start ever.
Yeah. So it was good to see that. And it's good for baseball to see that, because, a lot of people have been complaining. It's like, we see all these combined no-hitters all the time. Like, and it's not the same. Is it cool to see? Like, yeah, it's cool to see, but it's still not the same as one guy going out there and dominating for 9 innings. It's just not the same to me. It might be for somebody else, and it still might be cool, but it's to me, it's not the same thing.
It's not. When you go start to finish, wire to wire, and throw a no-hitter, that's way more impressive to me than having 4 guys who are fresh come in and just face the parts of the order that they're set up to pitch well against. Like, you've got to go through that order 3 times. They've seen everything that you've gotten tired, and you've still managed to do it. That's, to me, is way more impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We're going to switch over to this flurry of activity we had at the deadline last week. Like I said, no blockbuster moves really. But it seemed like everybody was moving. Now, do you think this is because of that extra wild card spot? I know we touched on it a little bit last week, but do you think this influx of activity at the deadline is because of this extra wild card spot, and everybody in the NL minus the Marlins, Giants, and Rockies are in the wild card hunt?
Yeah, I think that as much as the additional team kind of makes more teams believe they're in it, I think the flip side was true this year, where so many teams are in it. I mean, statistically, I think the Cubs are the furthest back of the group that made trades, and they're like 4 games out. Statistically, so many teams were in it, and you saw so many more teams active because of that. There's also the teams that were like clearly in it to make a difference, and there's the other teams that were kind of like nibbling around the edges to maybe make a minor improvement. So maybe they didn't like really improve, but they maybe filled a hole, or they were building with an eye towards next year. I think there are different layers of teams and being involved in this, but I do think where so many teams right now are still involved, that you saw far more teams actively buying than we've seen in a long time. That created a flurry of activity that we haven't seen in years.
Yeah. All right, so I'll just ask you straight up. Who do you think are winners in your eyes at the deadline here?
I mean, I think there's a few teams that fared well here. I think the Orioles came out of this in pretty good shape. They made some additions where they needed to. I think the Dodgers filled some pretty good holes for them too, especially in that bullpen with some injuries.
I just don't get the middle infielders they're all bringing in.
I honestly think they're looking for guys with versatility so they can rotate them around. And that does tell me when Mookie comes back, he's going back to the outfield.
And they just DFA'd Kevin Biggio like right before we came on.
I was waiting for that. I've been waiting for somebody to go. I think for them, it was, if we can get these depth pieces cheap, let's bring a bunch of them in and see who works.
Yeah, that's fair.
And in most cases, it cost them nothing, but like getting a guy like Kopech in that bullpen, and like they made some moves that I think are really going to help them. Yeah. And I think, I feel like those two teams did really well. I feel like the Pirates did a little bit. The Cubs, I think, missed an opportunity to really improve. I feel like the Yankees missed an opportunity to really improve. I mean, I don't love the Jazz Chisholm trade. I don't think it's a bad trade. I think he injected energy immediately.
4 home runs in 24 hours.
Yeah, I think he injected some energy pretty quick, but I mean, that's not going to last. And I think that the Diamondbacks made a couple of sneaky good moves. The Red Sox made a couple of moves that I think were more geared towards next year than this year. And I was happy to see a team like the Blue Jays, although I wanted to see them do more, actually make some moves and unload some pieces.
Yeah. So
But I will say the Mariners, give the Mariners some credit. They made some moves. I don't think they made enough, but they at least showed they were serious.
Yeah. So I'll start with my Diamondbacks because Christian Walker goes down. That's a huge loss for the Diamondbacks.
Massive.
Josh Bell, does he fill Christian Walker's shoes? No. But his first swing as a Diamondback, he hits it into the Allegheny. So I mean, welcome back to Pittsburgh, Josh Bell with the Diamondbacks and homers on his first swing. He hit 2 home runs in his Diamondbacks debut from each side of the plate there. I think that's a nice piece that gives them a little versatility because he is a switch hitter. I mean, Jock Peterson's on a tear right now.
Yeah.
So you don't really need to platoon him. So he's hitting really well.
How long is Walker out for?
I don't know. It's an oblique, so you never know how long those are.
It's one of those you do it like 2 weeks at a time, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then the addition of AJ Puck in that bullpen definitely helps them out.
It's a good move.
Erod is supposed to be coming back. He's with the team, so I don't know when his start's supposed to be, but he's with the team right now. So that's another starter you're adding in. I think the Diamondbacks are in good shape. They just took a series away from the Pirates, so they're only 4 games back of the Dodgers in the NL West right now. So they're making that a race.
And then did I see that the Diamondbacks have demoted Sewald? He's no longer the closer. Are they going to put Puck there?
They put Brian Thompson.
Oh, okay.
Right now. He's kind of that 3/4 sidearm weird thing that he's got going on.
That funky delivery.
Yeah, Sewald said he needed a break mentally from the closer role. So he's more of the 7th, 8th inning guy to get them to. And I don't think they're putting him in high stress situations, period. Like even if the game's on the line, I don't think they're bringing him in. So
okay.
I mean, he'll get back to form. He'll be fine.
Oh yeah. He's too good to lose it completely, but he's been really up and down.
And you may laugh at me for this, and everybody watching may laugh at me for this, but I think the Marlins won that Rogers deal.
I think the Marlins, if you're not looking at this year, I think the Marlins won the trade deadline. They brought in so many. You look down that list of prospects brought in. They brought in, was it 5 or 6 top 5 prospects and 15 top 20s? The prospects they landed are absolutely ridiculous. They stole. I mean, and then you had the Orioles who are just throwing prospects around because they've got so many of them. I think the Orioles did a lot to help the team this year, but they absolutely unloaded some prospects they didn't have to.
You gave up Stowers and Norby for Rogers.
Yeah.
Those 2 guys are really good and have been.
They should get you
really
more than
well.
that.
Absolutely. So I think the Marlins really won for, like you said, 3 years down the road.
Yeah. When you look back in 2027, you're gonna be like, man, the Marlins were smart to make those trades, but for the next couple of years, it's not going to do anything for them.
It was just hilarious because as I'm seeing these deals roll through, I'm like, are the Marlins even fielding a team for the rest of the year? Like what? Who do they got left?
I don't think they care.
Jake Berger? Is that the only starter you got left?
I'd say Tim Anderson, but they dumped him, so they got, you got nothing left. I mean, Brian De La Cruz went. I mean, everybody went.
Everybody. Yeah.
But again, do the Marlins care right now? No, because in a couple of years they're going to be laughing with a AAA roster that's absolutely loaded.
Yeah. All right, and now I'm going to bring you to the Tampa Bay Rays. This is the first time we've seen an absolute fire sale from the Tampa Bay Rays
in a long time.
A long time, right? Because, I mean, they're really good about bringing their prospects up, fielding them. You might lose a few to free agency, but this is the first time we've seen a complete fire sale from the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, and key pieces for them went. I mean, Arozarena was, in many, as much as he can be a fool at times, he was the personality and kind of the heart of that team. Isaac Paredes was a guy you were planning to build around. I mean, you let some guys go. I mean, and then you basically unloaded your bullpen and everything else. But
Yeah,
I mean,
Zach Eflin gone.
these are guys that were these were cornerstones the last few years that you let go. And I think the Raves are realizing that, that window's closed. McClanahan, that certainly set him back, him missing all this time. They haven't hit, losing Wander Franco was never part of their plan. So like this team's window closed, I think, abruptly because it wasn't planned. And I think the front office realized we missed it because some things out of our control have happened, and it's time to move on. And I'm sure next year they're going to roll out 10 more blue chip prospects that'll put them right back in contention, because that just seems they 3D print these guys somewhere.
Yeah, right.
And they'll be back in contention again. But I think the Rays were smart to look around and say, look, this isn't our year. We can't control what happened to us, but we can go get a return for guys that we're probably going to leave in the next year or two anyway. So let's go do that.
I'm surprised that Yandy Diaz is still there, to be completely honest. Like his name was thrown around, but he just never went.
All indications were they were shopping him hard, and they just couldn't put a deal together and ran out of time. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a guy that goes in the offseason.
Yeah.
Unless they really do think they've got a window next year.
I don't know.
It depends on how many more blue chip prospects they 3D print and bring up next year. But
yeah.
It's been a really this has not been a typical Rays season. They've had some serious problems.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about the Red Sox?
I think the Red Sox did what the Red Sox do, and they made a couple moves to tell the fans they did. At the same time, I will say, like, you're getting Cassis back here soon. That's great. Connor Wong has really emerged. Trading for Jansen and then DFAing Reese McGuire, to me, that's kind of like you traded for nothing. You got the same guy back. Jansen has a much higher ceiling than McGuire, but he's having a really bad season.
Yeah.
Priester is a project, and you move Nick York, a prospect who maybe sort of doesn't have a home. So like, I look at what they did, and I kind of look at it and go, well, does it help this year? Not really. And they added Sims in the bullpen. It's like, it's, again, like kind of nibbling around the edges. Did they do anything that like significantly changes their trajectory? No. But at the same time, you've had Houck, although he's come back to reality some, who's still pitching well. Crawford has come back to reality some, still pitching well. Bayo is Bayo. Like, I think if you're the Red Sox, you're looking around saying, like, we can hang around with this roster. We're not going to make any real noise in the playoffs if we were to get in. But we're not going to like fall way out necessarily. We're going to be just good enough to get by, and we're going to be getting Cassis back, which helps. So maybe they're going to kind of ride with who got them there and add a couple pieces on the edge.
And I mean, honestly, like you look at that roster right now, and I mean, it might be weird for me to say, but I don't think you really have pieces that you absolutely need. Right? Like you don't have a glaring hole. You could argue maybe second base. That's kind of a revolving door. It has been forever.
And that was Nick York's future home.
Yeah. But I mean, you can find a second base. You can find a veteran second baseman. But with the way that the Red Sox are playing right now, you might not want to mess with that mojo that much. Yeah. I mean, Jarren Duran is killing it. Rafaela has stepped up in a huge way. Like he's really good.
He's had a really good last kind of like 45 days after. I remember we talked about it on the show. Like, is this who he is? Is he going to hit 208 and play inconsistent defense? Well, no, he's proven he's got a better bat than that. And his defense, although not stellar, he's a serviceable infielder, but really belongs in the outfield. Yeah. Yoshida's come back around, started hitting. You're getting Cassis back. Devers is Devers. You can kind of slot Wong back in at catcher. Wilyer Abreu's come out of nowhere.
He might be in the discussion for Rookie of the Year. I think he's leading AL rookies in homers right now. I think
the Red Sox. Sure. So when you started the season this year, I was hoping this team would be better than 500. My thought was 500, maybe a couple games better would be a good season out of them. This is a team that is potentially going to win, 87 games, 86, 87 games. Certainly a few games better than I thought, but you could potentially have a guy in Duran who gets MVP votes and a guy in Abreu who gets Rookie of the Year votes. Neither one of those guys was expected to be that kind of an impact player when the season started.
No.
And you could have a guy in Houck, if he continues to pitch well, who might even get some Cy Young votes.
Yeah.
Never in a million years did I see any of those scenarios coming through.
There are two guys in the MLB that are must watch for me right now, and that is Jarren Duran. He's
Oh,
just
every night,
electric. He's
every night.
electric. Last game against Texas, he was 3 for 3 with a walk and like 3 stolen bases. I mean, like that's crazy.
Yep. You
And
need a
then,
base hit, he gets it for you. You need a home run, he gets it for you. You need to make a crazy catch at the warning track, he's got it.
yeah. And then my other guy right now is Ketel Marte. Like, yes,
Oh
it's
my goodness.
Diamondbacks bias for me.
Did you see his leadoff home run tonight?
He had another one tonight.
Yeah.
Dude, he had another
led the game off with a home run.
Dude, he's ridiculous. He leads the league in ninth inning home runs. He hit another one yesterday. He had 7 in the ninth inning this year. He is just, and he will get MVP votes as he should, but I mean, obviously it's Shohei's. But I mean, he's just so fun for me to watch right now. So I love those two, and I try to bounce back and forth if they're both on at the same time and try to catch them because those two are must watch for me. And I would say Aaron Judge is for Yankees fans, but he just gets walked all the time, which we'll get to in a minute. But those two for me are must watch.
Yeah, and Duran is a guy, again, like we talked about it last week, he's a guy that we all wrote off after that huge that mistake in center field and that horrendous second half of the season that he had when he questioned himself if he even wanted to play baseball anymore. And boy, did he kind of get things right. But he is an exciting player. Every night it's something with him. Ketel Marte is another guy who's he's fun to watch as well. Yeah. And what I enjoy about baseball right now is that you have so many of these young guys. You've got Witt and De La Cruz and Duran. Like, you just keep going down the list, all these young guys that are like becoming impact players. Yeah. It's going to be fun to watch these guys as they continue to develop and progress.
That's crazy. And just all the other young guys, like the second tier, if you will, guys coming up are also making impacts straight away too. Yep. Like, it's
all over the place.
I mean, you think about Reese Hines a couple weeks ago. We talked about him. He came on. It was like 8 extra base hits in his first 4 games or 5 games. Like, just ridiculous. So baseball's in a great spot right now when it comes to young talent for sure.
And you've got more, and that young talent's kind of spread around the league versus just being on a few teams. Like, you've got every market's got somebody who's worth tuning in for every night.
Yeah. All right.
Except for Colorado and Florida.
Well.
And Chicago for the White Sox.
Well, I can't with that franchise right now. Man.
I don't even want to.
How about your Royals? How are you feeling about your Kansas City Royals right now?
If Bobby Witt can keep hitting it the way he's hitting, nobody's going to beat them. I mean, he is. Was it since July 1st? He's like number 1 in every stat except for home runs in the league. Like, he's stealing bases, he's hitting for power, he's hitting in the gaps. His defense is ridiculous.
His average was like 491 in the month of July or something like that.
Insanity what he's done the last 5 or so weeks. But I think, again, that team is proving that it's a good team. And they made a couple of moves, which I was happy to see. Again, kind of like their offseason, they didn't go make any crazy splashy moves. They brought in a couple of good pieces. They continue to kind of build around. But I think that's a team that's going to hang around to the very end. And I think they're the final wild card as of right now. They've got that by a game or I think it's 2 games now. I think it's very likely they end up as a wild card, and that would be amazing. I don't think they're catching Cleveland. I do think Cleveland's going to come back to reality a little bit, but not going to catch Cleveland.
I was just going to bring them up because they made a sneaky good move too, getting Lane Thomas from the Nationals.
They did, and you got Cobb, and you've got players coming back. Like, that team is potentially going to get better. Again, we're seeing the Phillies really struggle right now. The Phillies have the hardest record in baseball in the second half. The Guardians are right behind them. This is going to be a gauntlet for the Phillies and the Guardians coming down the stretch. And you're going to see what that team is really made of. I mean, they went into Philly and took 2 out of 3. That's not exactly the easiest place to go in and play. And you saw one of those games.
I did. I was at that game. Yeah.
That team, they are unexciting. They are pretty plain, but they play incredibly good baseball. Yes. They play, they catch, they throw, they run, they hit, they pitch. Like, there's nothing flashy about what they do. And they were the same way 2 years ago when they made that playoff run. There's nothing flashy about what they do. They just play solid baseball. And Stephen Vogt is the best manager choice they could have because he is so level-headed. And when they do hit a rough spot, he'll have everybody chilled right out. I don't think anybody's catching the Guardians, but I do think the Royals are going to grab a wild card spot.
Yeah. And you have such a veteran leader in Jose Ramirez that says he doesn't want to play anywhere else in his career but Cleveland. And that goes a long ways in the clubhouse.
Dude's
it
a rock
really
star
does.
there. He's like royalty.
Absolutely. And when you have a guy that's so cemented in your clubhouse, in your organization, other guys look to that and it just permeates greatness and consistency. And that's all the Guardians are right now. It's crazy. Like you said, there's not a single thing that is flashy about them.
No.
They don't have a 30 home run hitter. I mean, other than maybe J-Ram, but maybe Naylor eventually. But like, it's not excessive power. You got a ton of contact guys that get up there and just slap base hits all over the field, and they pitch well enough to win games. But it's their defense too. Like when I was in that game in Philly when the Guardians went in there, the Phillies are just booting the ball all over the place. And they might not be errors, but they're like throwing the ball just enough off the base where they can only get the force out at second, and then a double down the line scores a run. And, instead of getting out of the inning on an inning-ending double play, you're out of the inning giving up one run.
And that's been the Phillies' Achilles heel for the last 3 years, that they can pitch, they can hit, but they can't field. And if you get them in a tight game, they will make enough mistakes. Like you said, maybe not an error, but it's a double pump, or it's a bobble, or it's a throw just far enough where you can't turn the double play. Like that stuff adds up, and that's how innings get away from you. And they just consistently do it. And I think they've gotten better this year because Trey Turner was miserable last year, and he's certainly had a much better season this year. But they still struggle to just consistently make routine plays. And that's why a team like the Guardians can come in there and take 2 out of 3 from them, because they're not giving you any extra outs. If they can turn 2, they're turning 2. There's no second chances there.
We have a suggestion in here. Can we talk about the Minnesota Twins?
Let's talk about the Minnesota Twins.
Let's.
Think about the Twins, Nick.
I've always said this with the Twins is they were like my Brewers, right? They're always at the top of the AL Central. You always expect them to be there. We're just waiting for that one team to come up and dethrone them. Honestly, I'm going to be completely honest. I haven't watched a ton of Minnesota Twins games this year. But, they got great pieces there. And, 62-48. If the Guardians aren't almost at 70 games, they're, they're the tops of the division. But I don't know. I don't know if I buy the Twins this year.
Yeah, I think the Twins I thought losing Sonny Gray would hurt a lot more than it has. They've actually pitched well, very well, given where they're at. But what I will say about the Twins is, what gets me with them every year is that you look over in this record against 500 teams, they're 25-34. They are a team that consistently struggles against good teams. They beat up on the lower end of the league, and don't play well against the upper echelon. So when they get into the playoffs, which is typically the case, they get bounced early because they just don't match up well against the top teams. Do they have talent? Yes. Are they a team that's I think better than most of us expected? Also, yes. But are they gonna be there in the end? I have no doubt. At this point, I feel like it's gonna be Twins, Royals are gonna get the wild card spot. You'll have 3 Central teams in there. Let that sink in for a minute, Nick.
It's crazy.
And I think the Twins will get bounced in the first round, like they typically do. Could they be better than that and play better than that? Absolutely. But they've proven this track record of, we're good enough to get to the dance, but we're not good enough to stay.
And let's talk about the elephant in the room. Their stars can't stay healthy.
Oh no. Royce Lewis and Byron Buxton and Correa's even constantly dinged up.
Yeah. Byron Buxton, we've said this numerous times, has the potential to be a 40-40 guy.
Oh yeah.
He's that good when he is healthy.
But Royce Lewis possibly could be too.
Absolutely. But they're both made of glass. And that hurts. It hurts. You have two cornerstone guys that could be potential superstars in this league, and they can't play. What is it? I just looked it up. Royce Lewis right now is sitting at 33 games this year. Byron Buxton is sitting at 85. So he's tied his record from last year at 85. But these are the games played for Byron Buxton, ready, in his career. 85 in 2024, 85 in 2023, 92 in 2022. He was an all-star, but only played 92. 61 games in 2021. 2020 doesn't count. 87 and 19, 28 and 18.
28.
2017, he played 140. Okay. And we only had 16 home runs, 51 RBIs. But he was not the Byron Buxton he is now. It was still early in his career.
Right.
92 games in 2016, 46 and 15 when he came up. So, I mean, that's not acceptable in my eyes for a Byron Buxton caliber player. 61, 92, 85, and 85. That's not going to get you anywhere if he's your cornerstone piece.
No, you can't have your superstar play half the games, 40, 50% of the games. But what I will say is that the Twins have they've got a challenging August. They've got a challenging August and early September schedule wise. Like, they do have some pretty big matchups, which will tell us a lot about them. The feeling in that, so Correa is about to come back from his foot injury because he's been, like I said, he's constantly dinged up. He's a guy that misses little chunks of time, but you've got a guy now in Bailey Ober who is really established himself as an ace. 8 consecutive quality starts for the first time in a decade. The Twins have had that out of a starting pitcher, which that's pretty damn impressive. And the belief amongst that team is that Carlos Correa's quote was, "We have the talent to win it all. We just have to put it together." And if you told me that Buxton, Lewis, and Correa are healthy from now until November, that's a team that can make some noise. And that's a team that would match up really well in the playoffs. If 2 of 3 of those guys are going to the playoffs banged up or out, that's what happens to the Twins every year. They look great, and then you get to the end, and the big guys aren't there, and you get bounced. And that's a big chunk of their season been that way. It's been the constant battle of keeping guys on the field. If those guys are healthy, I like their chances. If they're not, that team is going to struggle to score runs against good pitching.
Yeah, I agree. Well, since we're talking about injuries and staying healthy, let's get to this. I mean, again, another heartbreaking statement released by Mike Trout saying he's done for the year. He's tore his meniscus again. So I don't know if this was the same knee or a different knee, but in his recovery coming back from torn meniscus, he tore it again. At this point, he says he's going to come back stronger than ever. We've heard this song and dance before.
Yep.
Realistically, what do you think Mike Trout's chances of coming back and being even semi-productive? What am I trying to say? What do you think the chances are of him coming back and being semi-productive?
So I think what we've learned over time with the meniscus tears is that that is an injury that can heal. That is an injury that doesn't necessarily linger and cause issues down the road. But my concern with Trout is that he constantly re-injures it. I feel like he's torn his meniscus like 18 seasons in a row. It's always a meniscus. It's a back. And
right. Well, and that could also, the knees could be because the back is all out of whack too.
Exactly. And he's still playing center field and going hard, and there's going to be a point in time here where they're going to either have to move him to a corner outfield spot and take a little pressure off his legs, or consider flexing him as a DH, part-time. Maybe he plays the outfield 3 days a week and DHs 3 days a week, or maybe it's 2 and 2, or if you're going to get the most out of Mike Trout, you almost have to load manage him like an NBA player, like he's Kawhi Leonard. Like, we're going to load manage you, Mike, and you're going to play 2 out of 3. And you're going to be 1 in the outfield, 1 at DH. And the next series, maybe you'll play all 3, but it's 2 at DH and 1 in the outfield. Like, you're going to have to begin to manage him to keep him healthy, because what he's shown you over time is that when he's healthy, he's going to go all out. I mean, he's diving for balls. He's running into the wall. Like, he's full speed.
Yeah.
And as great as that is, there's only so many sprints left in those legs. And do you want to burn them all in April against the Oakland Athletics? No, you don't.
Right.
You want to keep some of those available. Just like the old pitcher idea. If you only got so many bullets in the gun, don't waste them when it doesn't matter. The same is true for Trout. And you're going to have to begin to load manage him and not let him hurt himself. Now,
but to be fair, in April is the only time they're ever in a pennant race.
That's fair. That is fair. But they finally have some good young players. They've got a group that's beginning to come together. You've got a frontline starter in Anderson. Like, you're beginning to look better. But without him, like, you lose that middle of the order veteran presence that they really, really need. And how different does their season look if he plays 120 games? If you can get 120 games in a Mike Trout for the next 5 years, that's a totally different team.
Yeah, you're getting 40 bombs out of him. Look what he did the other day. He missed 40 games and still hit 40 bombs.
Yeah, he can put up the equivalent to a full season's numbers in 3/4 of it. Like, he's still that good. He's still that guy. He is still probably one of the greatest baseball players we've ever seen, ever, period. Hard stop. And yet we're getting robbed of his career because he's not out there. You got to load manage this guy. You got to work him in at DH. You got to give his legs a break. You've got to begin to treat him with kid gloves. What I found shocking the other day, though, is they were showing a side-by-side comparison of he and Aaron Judge. He and Judge are the same age. And Trout's just been around that much longer because he's been up since he was 19.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And Judge is just on the way up, and Trout's battling injuries. But he's on the exact same trajectory Ken Griffey Jr. was on.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the peak and then the fall. He is trending just like Griffey. Yeah. And those are two of the saddest stories in baseball history, because as great as Griffey was, we got robbed of at least 5 seasons of his career. We're about there with Trout.
Yeah. All right. So I just did a little bit of my own medical research. So you can put a little MD next to my name down there at the
Paging
bottom.
Dr. Arno. Paging Dr. Arno.
Exactly. So his back injury is costovertebral dysfunction. And what that means,
sounds bad.
It's an irritation or misalignment of the joints where your ribs attach to your spine. So that's a pretty significant irritation. I mean, that's your core. Everything revolves around your back and your core. And when you don't have that, everything else in your body gets out of whack. You tear stuff that's not supposed to be torn.
And this is something that's going to affect his quality of life and all kinds of stuff. Like, this is not like us where we go pick something up and hurt our back.
Yeah.
This is like a serious spinal deficiency that he's got to live with and learn how to manage. And the Angels are going to have to help him manage it. They're going to have to put something in place to load manage him and find a way to continue to add in therapies and things like that just to keep him fresh. Because you cannot let him go 100 miles an hour every play anymore because he can't hold up.
Yeah. And it's too bad. Again, we've talked about this, the last 3 weeks, it seems like we're getting robbed of these guys like Jacob deGrom, another huge one that we keep bringing up because what would a full career of Jacob deGrom look like? It would be scary.
It would be
to see what he would be doing. The same thing with Mike Trout. He'd probably have every record if he was able to stay healthy.
I mean, you look back at Trout. I want to say it was back in 2020. They did the first real comparison. He was on pace to literally break everything there was.
Yeah,
he was on pace to be the greatest player of all time.
Yeah, it sucks.
And injury wise, it's just destroyed him.
Yeah. All right, let's switch to Aaron Judge getting the Bonds treatment lately. Do we like it?
Well, as a fan, no, I want to see him hit, but as if I'm watching the opposing team, I do like it because for 2 reasons. One, I think he's proven that he can hurt you a lot at home plate, but he can't hurt you at first base. So I'm happy to put him at first base. And second, he's got nobody behind him. Like the lineup, that Yankees lineup is thin. Was it Austin Wells was hitting behind him the other night when he got intentionally walked 3 times? Are you going to pitch to him or Judge? I mean, I would put 4 fingers up every time Judge came to the plate if that's who's sitting behind him.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to put 4 fingers. You just have to put 1 and just point.
Yeah, that's right. Just point. Just send him. But I mean, no, there is. If I'm the opposing team, and Schneider had it right with the Blue Jays, his comment was, if I don't have to pitch to him, I'm not. Like, I'm just not going to do this anymore. Like, I'm not going to play this game. And so it was a second inning. He intentionally walks him. He's like, nope, just go. Yeah. Because you could hit a solo home run, or I can put you at first because the guys behind you ain't going to hit.
Right.
It's that Yankees team right now. If it's not Judge and Soto, then there's nobody else. And I guess it was Jazz for 24 hours, but there's that lineup is incredibly weak behind Judge.
But what you need to do if you're Aaron Boone and this is happening, you got to put those guys behind Aaron Judge.
Whoa! You want Boone to manage the lineup?
Isn't that crazy?
Are you serious, Nick?
I'm serious.
You want Boone to manage the lineup?
I know it's nuts, but if you want to protect him, you can't have. I get you want people on base for Aaron Judge. I completely understand that.
Yeah, I get it.
But if they're not getting on base, you got to protect Aaron Judge somehow. Sandwich him.
If Soto hits a double, hits a double and Judge gets walked, who cares?
Right. But like you get sandwich him between Jazz and Soto. You got lefty, righty, lefty. You got Soto protecting him behind there.
I mean, hell, Verdugo behind him is better than Wells.
Right. I crazy, man. But like you said, so I went to the Yankees Mets game a couple Tuesdays ago, Subway Series. It was awesome. He was 0 for 1, 3 walks and a strikeout. So yes, he struck out in his only at bat, but he hadn't seen a live pitch all game.
No, it's a joke.
Because even if they did quote unquote pitch to him, but all 4 pitches were in the left-hander batter's box. Like they weren't even challenging the strike zone.
Because when you do, he takes you out of the yard. Like right now, he's at a level where you can't you challenge him, you're going to lose a lot.
Yeah, you have to get him to swing at your pitch, and if he doesn't, it's like, okay, well, that's that. You know, I mean, okay, first base is better than seeing him back at home plate after he's rounds the bases.
And the league's at a point right now where they're looking at that lineup and they're saying, just like what they did with Barry Bonds, you can't hurt me from first base because the guys behind you are deficient. And you know what? If 1 time out of 4 those guys come through and drive you in, that's better than letting you hit, because I'd rather have you at first base than on second or rounding them all. I'll take my chances.
Yeah.
And until the Yankees find a way to back him up and Aaron Boone manages that lineup, God forbid, you're going to keep seeing it. Because at this point, the league is like, I don't want to play this game anymore. I don't want to pitch to this guy. There's no reason to. This lineup is atrocious from basically 4 through 9. And I'm done. I don't have to pitch to him.
Yeah. I don't care if I'm the Chicago freaking White Sox. My job as a manager.
Yeah.
White Sox is a bad example because they're going for 21 straight losses. But they're still
it applies.
They're still paid to go out and win ball games. And if you don't win ball games, your job goes away. So if I'm, Schneider in Toronto, I'm not going to pitch to him and give my club a higher chance to lose. I'm not going to do it. Bye. See ya. Just take the 90 feet, buddy. That's what we're giving you. Like I get it, baseball sense, and I get it why fans are upset. We pay buco bucks to go watch these guys hit, and he's not. But you know what? It's part of the game. It is part of the strategy. And if you love baseball, you get why Aaron Judge is getting walked. You understand it. You don't have to like it. I don't like it. I'm a Red Sox fan, but I still love to see that dude hit. Like
love it. Love watching him hit.
But I get it. Like you're not going to let that guy beat you.
No.
Like you said, let the other 8 guys try to beat me because they're not going to.
No, and with Stanton hurt in and out, with Rizzo hurt, I mean, there's nobody to back him up. And it's the Soto and Judge show. And what those guys do is kind of what the lineup does. And that's why you're seeing the Yankees lose a bunch of games like 5-3 and 6-4, and because they just can't score.
Yeah.
They just can't consistently put runs on the board.
No.
And they need to get guys back. They need to reshuffle that lineup to figure out how to add some protection in. Juan Soto's in the best spot possible, surrounded by Jazz and Judge, or Verdugo and Judge, whoever the lineup's rolling that night. I mean, Soto's living the dream, and then he's in the lineup barking when they walk Judge. Well, it's because you're getting the benefit of the doubt there, Soto. You're in the premium spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I
think
crazy.
It's going to keep happening. This will be the rest of the season for him. They're going to walk him every chance they get.
Yeah, as they should. So, All right. I am going to share a slide with y'all about it was FanDuel put this out, and they said each MLB team's second GOAT. Now, I have some issues with this because, first of all, I want to know who they think each team's GOAT is.
Yeah, that was my first question. Who's number one? Because this is
right. Because then
hard
you
to
can
compare.
Then you can compare the rest of them.
No, I think in some cases it's obvious who the number one is, but there's others where it's like, well, it could be any number of people.
Right, because if it could be any number of people, then they would be number two if they're not number one. And then that's where the list comes in. So let's start at the top. Arizona Diamondbacks, Luis Gonzalez. I'm guessing they have Randy Johnson as the GOAT there.
I think it has to be him, just given the seasons he had there, the Cy Youngs he won there, and the playoff performances. And in that case, I think Luis Gonzalez is a solid number two.
Yep. Okay. Braves, obviously Hank Aaron here.
Yeah, makes sense to me. I mean,
you think Greg Maddux is number two?
Yeah, I mean, I think Greg Maddux is the right number two. I mean, there's other guys that kind of linger around out there, but I think it's probably Maddux that gets the nod at two.
Okay. Baltimore Orioles, Jim Palmer as the second GOAT. It's got to be Brooks or Cal, right?
Exactly. There's only two guys that come to mind, but like if it's not Brooks and it is Cal, then why is Brooks not number two? And if it's Cal, if it's Brooks, why isn't Cal number two? As good as Jim Palmer was, I see it as it's probably Cal Ripken, Brooks Robinson, Jim Palmer for me.
That's I'm with you there too. Okay, this one, Boston Red Sox, David Ortiz, number two. I don't like this one. And I know it's Ted Williams to me.
Of course, number one. There's no argument there.
You have Roger Clemens. You have Pedro Martinez. You have Cy Young. You have Carl Yastrzemski.
Freddie Lynn. Like you can, there's a lot.
I don't, as clutch as David Ortiz was in the playoffs, I don't think he's the team's second GOAT. He's top five for me. Top five,
oh, for
no
sure.
doubt.
He might even be top three, but I have a tough time putting him second because of all the other guys you mentioned. Now, when you think about his importance, I mean, he's probably there because of his importance to that curse-breaking run. But when you look at the balance of his career, I don't think he's the second.
And this has got to be his persona too, right? His persona shines through and makes him like Boston lore for sure.
He's a legend in Boston. Like he's like, it's like the mayor.
Okay. Chicago Cubs, Sammy Sosa, second GOAT. First one's got to be Ernie Banks. Fergie Jenkins is up there. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate Sammy, but you could probably make an argument there's a better choice than Sammy, but I don't think you can make it's one of those where like, would it compel you to move Sammy Sosa out of the number two spot? Maybe not.
No. White Sox, Minnie Minoso. I'm guessing, total guess, that they're going Frank Thomas here.
That's the only one I could think of that would jump Minnie Minoso is Frank Thomas.
Yeah. And now this one could be a bunch of people, but they have
Cincinnati's a tough one because this could be a whole bunch of people depending on your perspective.
So Johnny Bench is the second GOAT. Who would you think is number one there?
I mean, the first name that jumps to mind, it's not necessarily a popular choice, is Pete Rose. I feel like Pete probably gets consideration for number one. I mean, you think about the other guys, Joe Morgan, like no way would he jump Johnny Bench.
Can you
I feel
just
like
put number 2 as the big red machine? Like, can
well,
you just put all
honestly,
those
like
guys there?
there's, I mean, so many guys in that group. So I feel like number one's probably Pete Rose.
Yeah.
I have a tough time not believing Johnny Bench is number one.
Yeah. Kind of. I mean, it's hard. He's the all-time hit king, dude.
I know.
I mean,
He is, but he did it because he played for freaking forever. But I know
he still did it.
he did it. I get it.
The Indians / Guardians here, Jose Ramirez is their second GOAT already. I'm thinking number 1 is Bob Feller. That's just
see,
guess.
I went down the path of Jim Thome, thinking he might be number 1.
Okay, I think he played for too many teams for him to be the
Fair.
Indians GOAT. I think it's Feller number 1 there.
Okay, I would be okay with that.
Yeah. Larry Walker for the Rockies. So this tells me that they put Todd Helton first because those are your only 2.
Think that's wrong. I feel like Larry
too.
Walker is 1.
Yeah.
I mean, name a Rocky that's more synonymous with that team and had a better career than Larry Walker? I don't think you can. As good as Todd Helton was, I still think it's Larry Walker.
Yeah. Jay, the photo in the back is you might not be able to see it that well. I'm sorry. But it is a post that FanDuel put out about each MLB team's second greatest player of all time. So we're just kind of running down through and either disagreeing or agreeing with who they chose. So we are on the Tigers. Miguel Cabrera, number 2.
Yeah.
I mean, second to Ty Cobb, right?
Well, so yeah, you got a lot of guys in history. You got Cobb, you got K-Line. You got a lot of guys in that list, but I feel like Miggy's a solid number 2.
Yeah. Jose Altuve for the Astros.
So this one I struggle with. Who's number 1? Is it Bagwell? Is it Biggio? Like who?
Nolan Ryan.
I mean, but is he in Houston long enough, you think, to be the number 1? Because I was thinking he might be the number 1 for Texas.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get
to
it later. I think he could be number 1 for Anaheim too, but I don't.
He could be number 1 for several teams.
We just don't know. But you have Bagwell and Biggio that are proven that I would put over Altuve at this moment.
Yeah.
Maybe not when Altuve's career is over. But
I think when Altuve's done, he's probably a solid number 2. But I think to look at him right now, that might be a bit much.
Yeah. Royals, Salvador Perez, George Brett's
behind
number
George
1.
Brett. Yeah, that one to me is pretty straightforward. And I like Sal Perez as number 2. He's an icon there.
Yeah. Mike Trout for Anaheim. So this is where I'm like, it's who's number 1?
Right. Who's number 1?
Am I it's not Tim Salmon or Troy Glaus or
I mean,
it's got to be Ryan, right? It's got to be Nolan Ryan, right?
I don't know.
Vlad Guerrero.
Hey, Jay, if you're still in the chat, who's the best Angel of all time? Who are we missing? Because Mike Trout to me is probably the number 1 already.
Yeah, Garrett Anderson. I mean, that's a good one too. But I was thinking Nolan Ryan as well. I don't know.
It's again, without knowing the number 1 on some of these, it's tough.
Yeah. Clayton Kershaw, they have number 2.
No.
Oh, he had 3 or 4 no hitters at that. Oh,
time. Good point. Yeah, fair. All right.
Rod Carew. See, we're gonna get to Rod Carew because he's the second. Yeah.
A tough
Clayton
one.
Kershaw for the Dodgers.
Love Kershaw as the second pick. I mean, I'm guessing number 1 is probably Jackie. I mean, are we thinking it's Jackie?
David Eckstein, duh. For the Angels.
I used to love Eckstein.
Yeah.
Darren Erstad was the other guy that I loved.
Yeah, Clayton Kershaw for number 2 all-time Dodger GOAT. You got Koufax. You got Robinson. Kershaw's top 5 in that franchise, no doubt.
Yeah, my immediate mind went to it was Koufax, it was Jackie. I was probably thinking Jackie, just given the high-profile nature of who he was, but I don't love Clayton Kershaw as number 2. Again, I think he's probably on the Mount Rushmore of Dodgers, but I don't think he's the first or second guy listed.
Yeah. All right. This one's interesting because Florida, we got Hanley Ramirez as the second GOAT, but who's the best all time? And it's hard with the Marlins because they're there, then they're gone.
I know. That's the thing. Like, you look back at the history and like who's been really good there. Well, Josh Beckett was. Miggy started there, but he's already popped up somewhere else. I mean, Conine was like a legend there. Sheffield was there for a while. I don't know who number one is.
Cliff Floyd. I really don't
mean,
know.
honestly, like it's probably like Josh Johnson or Josh Beckett are your number one, but it's a low bar. Like nobody's there for long.
Yeah. Milwaukee Brewers, Paul Molitor's their number 2. Robin Yount's number 1.
I was just going to say it's got to be Yount.
But you got Fingers in there, but he's been, split his time with Oakland there, so probably not.
Closer, right. So whatever.
Yeah. Twins, Rod Carew, number 1 being Kirby Puckett. I don't think there's really
Killebrew?
much. Okay, there is discussion.
Yeah. I was like, wait a second. Let's not slam that door shut just yet. Although I do love Kirby Puckett. But
I do think it's Kirby Puckett number 1 is what they're thinking there. Because if David Ortiz is number 2 for their persona, then it's got to be Rod Carew. I mean, it's got to be Kirby Puckett there for just everything he embodied Twins baseball there for
exactly.
So long.
He was the guy.
Yeah. Big Sexy should be in the Brewers combo. Yep. Mike Piazza for second greatest Mets of all time.
So who goes ahead of him?
Doc Gooden, Tom Seaver, Nolan Ryan, Darryl Strawberry.
Oh, I mean, Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry.
David Wright.
I mean, David Wright's the name that popped up, but again, another career that got cut short.
Tom Seaver? Tom Seaver's going to be 1, right?
Oh, no, eventually I came back around to it's probably Seaver that is the number 1.
Understood.
But like David Wright, I feel like his career was cut too short. Gooden and Strawberry are Hall of Famers, kind of because Cohen's a fan. Yeah, it's got to be Seaver.
Number 1, yeah. Jose Reyes. I mean, yeah.
It's probably in the conversation.
Yeah. This one, they got Derek Jeter.
Yeah, who's number 1?
Number 2.
So who's number 1 here? I mean, who are you going to pick? Is it Ruth, Gehrig, Mantle? I mean, who are you picking?
It's Ruth.
Because there's a lot of people that would say, well, Babe's not really the number 1 guy anymore. Like people don't view him that way. But I mean, sure, he probably he still has the cachet.
He's the number 1 guy in baseball, period. Still.
Yeah.
You might not think that right now, but if you ask an average baseball fan
he's the most
player of all time, everyone says Babe Ruth.
It's the best known name. But like you even look at all these different sites that rank players, like Ranker and all them, like they don't even put Babe Ruth in the top. He's like number 3 now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Willie Mays takes over the top spot, but that's a debate for a different day.
No, Ted Williams. Moving on.
Okay. Anyways, Derek Jeter, number 2, I don't agree with. Top 5, yes. Championships, everything he embodied in Yankees. He's got to be top 5.
I mean, just solely for him jumping in the stands, I think he's got to be number 2, Nick. That catch was amazing.
Moving on.
No, I mean, I love Jeter. He was the Yankees. He was such a big piece of that history. Is he number 2? Probably not. Is he on the Mount Rushmore? Yes, but he's probably not number 2.
Yeah. All right. A's Mark McGwire.
It's got to be Ricky. It's number 1, right?
Ricky, Reggie Jackson.
That's probably Ricky. I'd go Ricky number 1.
It'd have to be Ricky.
And Mark McGwire, I'm okay with him number 2.
This one is hard for me to even spit out.
This one makes my head hurt.
Chase Utley as their second GOAT in Philly.
So clearly it's Schmidt, number 1.
Has to be.
That's not an argument. But you're telling me Chase Utley's number 2 behind him out of you've got
Steve
Rollins,
Carlton.
Halladay, Carlton. I mean,
Kruk.
But we're going with Chase. I mean, as good as Chase Utley was and as important he was to the organization, is he number 2? I have a tough time believing that.
Yeah. This one makes me spit fire.
I saw this one. I'm like, oh, this isn't going to be good.
This one makes me spit fire. Roberto Clemente, the second GOAT.
So
on
who's
the
won?
Pirates.
Dargel? Like who's won?
I don't know.
Garrett Cole?
I Paul Scanes already. I don't know.
Jason Kendall.
God, how is Roberto Clemente the second GOAT on the Pittsburgh Pirates?
I don't know. I'd love to know who's number 1 because I can't. I mean, you could maybe make an argument that Stargell would get that kind of consideration, but like Mazeroski's not in that conversation. Like there's not guys that are better than Clemente.
There's no. I can't think of a single one. There can't be. I don't. Man, I don't know, man. That one blows my mind.
That one's tough.
That one makes me really upset in this whole list. But all right,
Oh,
keep going.
Here's a good point. You know, were they thinking Bonds?
Maybe
That's not
a
fair
bad
one.
one. Oh, Honus Wagner.
Oh, Honus, you're right.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay, we're good now.
I mean, we're not good.
No,
I don't
still,
think Honus Wagner is
that's
number one.
Still a tough one, but at least that one makes sense.
That's who they went with. It has to be Honus Wagner number one.
I'd love to. It'd be great to see the number one just to be able to compare.
Thank you, Ben, for that. Complete brain fart there.
Yeah, no, good point.
So for the Padres, Trevor Hoffman, I think this is a no-brainer. Tony Gwynn's number one.
Yep, won't argue that.
Trevor Hoffman's there.
Yep.
San Francisco, Barry Bonds gets number 2 here. It has to be behind Willie Mays.
Has to be. There's nobody else that gets that spot.
No, and
I'm okay with that.
Right, and would leapfrog Barry Bonds. Like, as good as Willie McCovey was,
no,
you're not going to leapfrog Barry Bonds at number 2.
You know, Buster Posey, there's no chance. It's
Ichiro Suzuki for the Mariners. It's got to be Griffey or
it's got to be behind Junior. Yep.
But you got Randy Johnson too.
You do.
But I think I would. It's hard to argue 3,000 hits in the career that Ichiro put in Seattle. So I don't have. I'm not going to lose sleep over that one.
I'm okay with that one.
St. Louis Cardinals, Albert Pujols. Now, yes, 700 career home runs, but who's the top spot? Is it Musial?
It's got to be Musial.
Or is it Bob Gibson?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's probably Stan the Man they took there, but you could argue Gibson would slot into that spot nicely too.
I personally, I think would take Bob Gibson, but
see, I would probably take Stan the Man, but I would be okay with either one of them being in that spot.
Yeah,
I would not be upset.
Yeah. All right. Tampa Bay Rays, Carl Crawford's their second GOAT.
Behind who? Like Evan Longoria? Like who's?
It has to be Evan Longoria.
There's just nobody's ever there long enough for them to really have an impact.
Scott Kazmir is the only other name I could come up with that I could semi make an argument for, but it's got to be Longoria there.
Yeah, I mean David Price, as good as he was there, he wasn't there that long.
No. Adrian Beltre for your Texas Rangers.
In my mind, this was behind Nolan.
It has to be. Has to be.
Wade Boggs for 1 year in Tampa.
Yeah. Fred McGriff falls in that category. Greg Vaughn was actually brought up too, but yeah. Nolan Ryan's got to be the Texas one for sure.
Has to be.
All right, Toronto. This one's an interesting one for me too. Jose Batista's the second GOAT. It's got to be Roy Halladay, right?
I mean, my mind went to the only other guys that might get consideration would be like Halladay and Carter, but Joe Carter wasn't even there that long. I shouldn't say not there that long. No, he wasn't like that impactful when he was there, other than the home run.
Yeah,
I feel like
I was gonna say only hit a walk-off World Series home run. No biggie. But
like on the balance, there's not much to talk about there. So I feel like it has to be Halladay.
Maybe Delgado.
Comment in the chat, Delgado. I mean,
yeah, possibly.
I used to love Carlos Delgado. But yeah, I feel like it's probably Halladay.
Yeah. And then the last one we got, thanks for sticking with us and helping us out, guys. They got Tim Raines for the Expo/Nationals for their second GOAT.
Expo/Nationals/Senators/ just keep going.
Whatever. Yeah.
I mean, who's number one here?
Vlad Guerrero Sr.?
Is it Guerrero? Is it Pedro? Is it
Randy Johnson for a year?
There's a bunch of guys. Mark Grudzielanek, your favorite guy, Nick.
Henry Rodriguez.
Oh, Henry. It's.
I would say it's Vlad Guerrero Sr.
Yeah, I'd probably give you Vlad. I mean, Pedro be in consideration there, but I think he'd be more likely to show up on a list somewhere else.
It was saying Walter Johnson it'd be the Senators.
Oh, good point. If you're going all the way back to the lineage.
But I mean, it says Expos Nationals. So I don't know if they're counting the Senators. I mean, we just don't know because this is FanDuel's list. So
right.
I have no idea. But
and you know they gave you the second on purpose just to get people to debate who the first was.
I mean, look at us. We just spent a half hour on it. So like I mean,
We are those people, Nick.
yeah, I mean, I love it. But yeah, it's interesting, this
It is.
list, and it definitely sparks a lot of baseball conversation, which
There's
obviously we
a
love. So
yeah, there's a lot of it that I agree with, and there's some of it that I kind of go, maybe not.
yeah. So thanks for helping us out with that, guys. So we are going to just move right into some trivia here.
Oh boy, I'm all by myself, so let's
Yeah.
see how this goes.
You guys can help out Harrison in the chat
Yeah, come on, chat.
you guys need to help him out. All right, here we go. First one. Name the 4 players with World Series home runs in 3 separate decades.
Ricky.
No.
I just love to throw his name out for everything. 3 separate decades. So, who had?
Oh, that was my bad. Go ahead.
What happened? All right. 4 players, World Series home runs in 3 separate decades. Are these all modern era guys? Are we going back a ways?
A couple maybe back a little bit.
Okay.
One team had 2 of them.
Of course. Yankees.
Yep.
Paul O'Neill?
Nope. Before him.
Oh, going back even further. Okay. Like way back?
Yeah, like Don Larson's catcher way back. That gives it one away.
Yogi?
Yep, Yogi's one.
Good for Yogi. Mantle or Maris?
Nope. Right track. You're the other center fielder there.
Oh, DiMaggio?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we got Yogi and DiMaggio.
Yep.
All right. Are the other 2 more modern era?
I don't know. I forget. Hold on.
Reggie?
Nope, not Reggie.
Good guess.
One of them played for the Giants and the Diamondbacks. Third baseman.
Well, not Pablo.
No.
Longoria?
No. Before him. He was on their 2001 World Series winning team.
Oh, goodness gracious.
He was a really good third baseman in his time.
Yep. I can picture him.
It is.
It's not coming.
All right. It's Matt Williams.
Oh, Matt Williams. Yep. Oh, Eddie Murray.
Eddie Murray is the 4th.
Yeah. Yeah, I could picture Matt Williams. I could not spit his name out. I kept wanting to call him Jeff Kent.
Yep. Matt Williams. All right. Next one. Which hitter has the most career home runs to never appear in a World Series?
Ernie Banks?
Nope. More than that.
Darn.
Yeah, Ryan, you're right. Matt Williams. Yeah.
Oh, so it's like, wait, Matt Williams is that answer too? All right, so never appeared in a World Series. All right, so let's go down the list. Mays, Bonds, Pujols, they were all in World Series. Tomey?
Nope. Another guy that hit 600 plus homers.
Who am I forgetting?
Come on.
Oh, Griffey.
Yes, it's
I
Griffey.
was like, the one guy I'm forgetting, Griffey.
630, never in a World Series.
That's sad too.
Yep. All right. Who has played the most career games never playing in a World Series?
Ernie Banks.
Nope. This guy actually played more games than Ernie Banks.
Oh, but it's just never, World Series, not playoffs. That's right. Ernie Banks is never in the playoffs. Oh, God.
And the color's a clue.
Jay, that's going to end up being Trout.
For sure. Well, no, because he can't even play games to make it count, but you're right. So I'll give you
Is this an Orioles color?
It is an Oriole.
All right.
He also played, this might give it away, the Rangers.
Palmeiro?
Yeah.
Huh,
2,831 games without a World Series appearance.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was in the playoffs a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan, I was thinking Ripken too, but he did have that World Series appearance very early in his career.
83, yep.
Yep.
Okay, who was the last pitcher to homer in a World Series game?
Oh, God, is this Bumgarner?
Nope. This is Phillies. And it's a name that once you hear it, you'll be like, oh, I completely forgot about him.
Recent?
Well, when the Phillies were in the World Series, so it was at 13.
Oh yeah, Cole
I
Hamels.
think 14. Nope. He was a bigger pitcher, like rounder, I should say.
Oh, like
He
a
kinda,
Joe Blanton.
It is Joe Blanton.
Yes.
Nice. 2008. Yes. Sorry, I had the year wrong.
2008.
Joe Blanton. Yeah. Last pitcher to home run in the World Series.
That's funny.
Yeah. Joe Blanton.
Cliff Lee. I was going there next. Who's my next guest? Then you mentioned bigger. I'm like, it's got to be Blanton.
So he owns this record now because pitchers don't hit anymore.
That's
so
true. You won't see it again.
Him for eternity.
Unless you have some like really crazy pinch hit scenario.
Yep. Who was the last team to win a World Series in the first year of their new ballpark?
Too bad it could have been the Rangers. They were close. First year of their new ballpark. A recent ballpark? Are we going back?
Yeah, recent. Yeah, who was the last team to do it? So it's
last recent. Team. Yep. So it has happened recently. Okay. Let's see. Who's opened new ballparks? Not Pittsburgh. Let's go the Diamondbacks.
Nope,
that wasn't a new ballpark. Oh, I guess it kind of was. It was a new ballpark.
It was. Yeah. Has to be in the same year that they opened their new ballpark.
Boy, oh boy.
Nope, not the Nationals. That's a good guess.
Oh, that's a good guess. Yeah, that's a good guess.
Nope, not Marlins. That's not a bad guess either.
No, it's not. They won them in the old ballpark, but
not Cardinals. Cardinals was the second one behind this one.
Yep.
They did do it, but another team did it before that. Nope, not the Phillies.
I'm loving the fact that the chat's bringing guesses. I'm gonna let them go.
So, to everybody that's watching the show now,
is it the Braves?
Nope, not the Braves. All the colors I use in my background give hints. It's the Yankees. Yes.
Yep.
The Yankees in
Didn't I say the Yankees?
No.
Oh, I thought I said the Yankees.
I didn't hear it. If you did.
That's all right.
Yeah. Yankees in 2009. Good. All right.
Oh, Giants. That's a good one too.
Yep. Which two players played the most seasons with one address, meaning one team and the city didn't move?
Oh, God. Is this somebody who's on the Dodgers?
Nope.
When they moved?
Nope. The two teams are Orioles and Red Sox. Damn Yankees. You got that right, Ben.
I'm sorry, you said the Orioles and the Red Sox?
Yes.
So, Cal?
Nope. Not Cal. Another longtime Oriole, though, obviously.
I know. Brooks?
Yep. Brooks is one.
Wouldn't be Ted.
No.
Yaz?
It is. It's Yaz. Yep. 23 seasons.
Holy crap.
Yep. So,
yep. Carl
Yastrzemski and Brooks Robinson. So, a lot of those guys obviously played with the same franchise for that amount of years. But, like, if you think about the Braves, they went to Boston, to Milwaukee, to Atlanta.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
They went from Brooklyn to LA. They went from New York to San Francisco. So, like, it breaks up. That's why it's just one address. So, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's cool.
Yeah. All right. Who was the last player to hit 2 home runs in 1 inning?
Oh, boy.
And I'll give you a hint. It happened this year.
Oh, was it Butler in Oakland?
Not Butler.
Rooker?
Yep. Brent Rooker. May 4th, 2024. Good. Okay. Name the 3 active pitchers that had 21 wins in a single season without throwing a complete game in that season.
Wow.
So one of these you should
Say
definitely.
Blake Snell.
Blake Snell is one.
Clemens.
Nope.
Oh, I thought he had that season in Toronto where he didn't finish any games.
No, not Kershaw. That's a good guess.
Well, that is a good guess. Halladay finished a lot of games. Wouldn't be him. Cliff Lee.
Nope. You would actually be surprised that one of these guys is on the list because he's known for like going the distance quite a bit, and he was a bulldog before all these recent injuries.
Scherzer's
the second.
All right. Is a third.
Anybody else?
So name 3 active pitchers. Verlander?
No, not Verlander. Hold on. I need to sneak a peek again.
So you can remember who it is.
Oh, yeah. This one is a tough one. He just got dealt. I just gave it away. Yeah, he just got dealt to the Royals, right?
Yeah, there's no way I would have ever guessed Kyle Wright.
Yeah.
Thank you for just giving me the answer.
I wouldn't have been able to give you hints other than the trade. Yeah, he got dealt to the Royals, but I don't think he's even pitched for them this year.
I don't think he has either. No, I've not seen his name.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, Scherzer in 13, Snell in 18, Kyle Wright in 22.
Yeah, the Scherzer one surprised me because he was a guy that went deep in a lot of games and finished a few. But
dude, his eyes still freak me the F out. I can't look at him.
He's creepy. All
right, who are the 5 active players with 2,000 hits?
Well, Goldschmidt just got it.
Yep.
Let's see. Active players with 2,000 hits.
One of them is semi-active. Like he's in the organization, but he hasn't been on the MLB roster this year.
Oh.
Yes, Snell just threw a no-hitter, but when he won 21 games in 2018, he never threw a complete game.
Yeah, so actually, that no-hitter was the first complete game of his career.
Nuts.
Yeah, so Goldie just got 2,000.
Yeah.
Is Altuve in that group yet?
Altuve is in that group, yes.
Is Votto?
Yep, and then Freeman. Good.
Oh, Freeman, good one. Yeah, so we got 4.
You got one more, and the background's the clue, the one guy.
Is that an A's color? Like, what color is that?
It's yellow. Black and yellow.
Is it McCutcheon?
It's McCutcheon, yes. Yeah. Freeman, Altuve, Votto, McCutcheon, and Goldschmidt. So
thanks for the help, Jay.
The only one is a Votto, because I don't know like officially what his status is. Yeah, Ryan got McCutcheon too, big yeah. So I don't know what Votto's official status is. I mean, I guess he's still playing, so
he's in the minors and hoping to get called up. He's still rehabbing.
Yeah. So, all right. Which pitcher was the last 200 career game winner to never win 20 games in a season?
Oh, I immediately want to say Pedro, but I'm pretty sure he had the couple of 20-win seasons.
More recent than Pedro.
Oh. Verlander? No, Verlander won 20-something. So did Scherzer.
We saw this guy pitch a lot before he got dealt.
Sale?
Nope, before Sale. Nope, not Kershaw. Good guess.
Oh.
Yeah, Harper's close.
Holy cow, yeah, he's closing in quickly. Last 200 career game winner to never win 20 games in the season. All right.
Lefty. Can never throw over to first base.
Oh, John Lester?
Yeah, John Lester. He has exactly 200 wins in his career.
Yeah.
But never won 20 in his career.
No, he was like a 17 a season guy. That was his number.
Yep. Okay. Who was the last player to achieve 200 hits in a season for both the AL and the NL?
Ooh, that's a good one. Pujols.
Nope.
That is a good guess.
Probably around that same time.
Oh, okay.
And we have talked about him already a little bit today.
Oh, crap.
As maybe as number 1 on a certain organization.
Oh, geez. All right. Trout?
No, not Trout.
I know he's never been in the NL.
He did do it. He did do it for the Angels, though.
Oh, you're kidding.
That was the AL team he did it for.
Edmonds?
Nope, not Edmonds. That's not a bad guess, but not Edmonds. Not Ohtani. He'll get there.
It will be.
Yeah. He was known for throwing people out at first base. From right field.
Oh, Guerrero?
Yes, Vlad Guerrero Sr. So 200 with Montreal, then 200, and then 200
I always
with
forget about his
Anaheim.
time in Montreal. Like, I just don't think about Montreal anymore.
Yeah. All right. They're back,
Oh,
Harrison.
yes.
Okay.
Before, I love these. You got to explain it, Nick.
I will. So for those of you that don't know what this is, before and after is like a Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune category where the phrase kind of blends in together. So what will happen is I will give you 2 clues, and the first player's clues, their last name will be the first name of the second player. Okay. So, like, for instance, I would say the home run king for the Atlanta Braves plus the single season American League home run record holder. So it'd be Hank Aaron Judge. That's how it is put out. So here we go.
These are fun.
Before and after, first one. Second baseman with a big red machine plus one-time All-Star third baseman in 2005 with the Astros, who finished 4th in the MVP voting and won the Silver Slugger that year.
I feel like it's got to be Joe Morgan Ensberg.
It is Joe Morgan Ensberg. Nice, Harrison. That was a good one. Yes.
I love these.
Yeah. Morgan Ensberg was one I was like, man, like I forgot about that dude.
I know. He's the guy that actually somebody brought him up a few weeks ago on another podcast. I was like, oh, yeah, that's a blast from the past.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Next one. Only played for the Phillies from 04 to 16, 3-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, and an MVP in 06. Plus, switch hitting third baseman, shortstop, and outfielder. Mostly for the Mets, but had the Rockies and Cubs towards the end of his career. 2-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger.
Oh, I immediately started off with Ryan Howard, and I'm like, nope, that's not it.
Yeah,
is it Howard? Oh,
Howard's the first one.
Ryan Howard. I was going to say Johnson. That's the restaurant.
It is. It's Ryan Howard Johnson.
I was like, that doesn't sound right.
It is Hojo.
Yeah, nice job, Ben. You got it right there with me.
Yeah, Ryan Howard Johnson.
I was like, Howard Johnson. It sounds like the hotel chain. I feel like I'm making that up.
Yeah. All right, next one. Speedy catcher, mostly known for the Pirates in the 90s and early 2000s, plus journeyman reliever from 14 to 23 for the Blue Jays, A's, Mariners, Astros, White Sox, then back with the Astros.
Jason Kendall Graveman.
Yes, sir. Jason Kendall Graveman.
I loved Jason Kendall. I remember him breaking his ankle on first base. Oh,
no, I don't really want to talk about that.
That was horrific.
That was one of my early childhood memories, being like, I'm never playing baseball again.
That was horrific.
Just shot out right out the side of his shin there. Disgusting. Terrible. All right. Set the single season record for RBIs with 191 for the Cubs. Plus,
that's so many.
It's crazy. Plus 3-time All-Star catcher with the Cubs, but went to a rival for free agency.
All right. I'm going to wait and see if the chat's got this one before I get it. Somebody in the chat may have this one. I'll give them a few seconds.
This one's one of the simpler ones, but
you always say that when I've got them.
I do.
I don't know why that is.
Yeah, I've seen that video.
Oh,
it makes me feel hurt. The Jason Kendall injury was disgusting for sure.
All right, I'm giving my answer in 3, 2, 1. Hack Wilson Contreras.
Yes, and I put Wilson because it's spelled differently, and everybody has a conniption. So
cool.
Hack Wilson Contreras.
Ben was with me there.
Nice, good, yeah.
Nice job,
Wilson
Ben.
Contreras. Good. All right. Second baseman for the A's from 02 to 11, then went to Colorado, Los Angeles, and St. Louis. Plus 2-time All-Star, 1 for Boston, 1 for Colorado, a Gold Glove, 2-time Silver Slugger, outfielder from 87 to 04. And then I also put his career path on the bottom there.
Ooh, this one.
This might be a tougher one. Because the first one is a name you'll definitely recognize, but you often forget about. He was never an all-star for the A's, but he was really solid second baseman for them.
And was he the double play partner with Tejada out there?
Maybe for a little bit.
Yeah, wouldn't have been for very long. It's not who I'm thinking of. This one's actually tricky. I couldn't think of the name, but I was trying to go down that path. The second one. Like my mind goes to guys like Darren Lewis, but that was too.
Yep, not Darren Lewis.
And he was on the 04 team. Ooh, this is a tough one.
So the first player's first name is Mark.
Lemke? No.
Not Lemke.
Oh, goodness gracious. Kotze was an outfielder.
Oh, you're so close. It's not Mark. It's not Mark William Ellis. Take out the William.
Oh man, Mark Ellis Burks.
It is Mark Ellis Burks.
Oh, I could not think of his name.
So close. Okay. You helped Harrison out with that one.
Nice job, Eli. I was stumped on the second baseman. I could not think of who that was.
Yeah, you get the assist on that.
Oh, 100%. You did 90% of the work.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark Ellis Burks. Okay.
Nice job. Mark Zuckerberg. No.
Close. Current starter for the Minnesota Twins, who is currently 7-7 with a 3.59 ERA, plus 2024 All-Star third baseman for the Rockies.
Is that Ryan McMahon?
It is Ryan McMahon. So Who's the first one?
Oh, you would ask me that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Nolan, right?
No.
Oh God. I almost said Logan Ryan. Oh my God, what is his name?
Well, you obviously know his last name.
I know. Where did our Twins fan go?
Anybody in the chat?
Bailey Ober.
You got Ober, Lopez, and then the next guy in line.
I know, and I cannot think of his name to save my life.
It is Joe.
Oh, Joe Ryan.
McMahon. Yeah. Joe Ryan McMahon.
Oh, that one hurts. I'm like, I can't get his name.
Yep. And that is that for today, this week. Okay.
Love it.
So thanks for your help on that. Harrison definitely needed some help on a few of those. So I hope that was fun.
There were some tough ones in there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. The last thing I got is Shohei Ohtani. I mean, already in the 30-30 club. Crazy. I mean, first week of August, we're 30-30. Do we have a legit shot at 40-40 out of him?
Oh, yeah. There's too much time left.
Yeah. And if he gets 40-40, it's shoe and MVP. I mean, I think it already kind of game over MVP. But I think it's definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's Ohtani and Judge right now are your front runners in the two leagues, and those are the guys that have been trading it in the American League the last 2 years. So,
yeah, for sure. But just crazy. He's at 30-30 already, and we still got 2 months of baseball left.
And not a guy you would necessarily think is a speedster, like not a guy you'd expect to steal a lot of bases.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's impressive. It's impressive for a guy his size to have that kind of athleticism to steal bases too.
I think it's also like a product of that lineup too, right? Because even if he does get caught, like he can, like his lineup can usually pick him up. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
So like the risk of him running isn't as big as other people on other teams, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
A comment in the chat. We got to get into this Rose documentary at some point. I have not watched it yet, but I need to.
Yes, I haven't watched it either. So
But I think you're going to see Shohei 40-40 this year. I have no doubt that he's going to get there. And if he does, he's surefire MVP. And then the American League, you got Judge, who's already at 40 and 100, who's probably going to end up at anywhere from 55 to 60 with probably 130 runs batted in.
That's
you don't
if
see
they,
that line anymore.
No, that's if they pitch to him anymore. I don't see the league pitching to Aaron Judge much anymore, especially down the stretch. He's not going to see anything.
No, and he shouldn't. They should not pitch to him. So
no. So that's all I had for tonight. Do you have anything to add before we head out for the evening?
I got a question for you, Nick. So Fox had done an article. Disha Thosar had done an article about the teams the most pressure to win right now. And so I want to ask you your opinion, and chat, feel free to jump in. Who do you think has the most pressure to win right now? The 6 teams they talked about were the Astros, the Yankees, the Padres, the Giants, the Mariners, and the Cardinals. So of those 6 teams, who do you think is feeling the greatest pressure to win this season, win right now?
It's the Yankees, and it's not even. I don't think it's close. I don't think it's remotely close. If Soto is still on the Padres, then I would put the Padres in that discussion. I don't think anybody. It's close. The Yankees have been known. They've won 26 championships that they keep waving in our faces, right? But they haven't. When's the last time they won?
Yeah, it's been 16 years now. Was it 08?
Yeah, it's got to be one of the longest droughts for the New York Yankees.
15 years.
Yeah,
they've won one championship in 25 years. That is to them like unheard of.
Yeah. So I think it's not even close. I think it's the Yankees. I think the Padres, like I said, if they still had Soto, then it's a different kind of stress for them because they have all the stars out there, and it would put more pressure on them. But them getting rid of Soto, the Padres are the Padres. I don't put any stock into them. I don't think there's much pressure.
Jay just gave you all the dates in case you want to know when the Yankees had won.
Well, thanks for that.
The Angels fan gives us the Yankees rings.
Now, what's interesting to me is the Mariners here.
See, I go to the Mariners.
Okay, and go ahead, run with it.
Well, I go to the Mariners because I feel like they assembled this team to make a run at it, and they have the pressure of never having done it. And I think that as an organization, like they've clearly felt that pressure the last couple of years. They made big trades to bring in guys like Castilla. You know, they've done a lot of things kind of showing that they feel the need to win. And you've got Julio, who's going to be there, you know, again, kind of what's the window look like with this whole team? They got to act now because you can't keep all those guys. So you've got a window now. And if you miss this window, you don't know when the next one's coming. So I feel like the Mariners, because they've never done it, have that pressure of we've got a good enough team to do it. We need to go do it.
I kind of agree with you, especially with the pitching staff they have.
That pitching staff you'll never assemble that again.
You can't not win with that pitching staff. And if you don't, then yeah, I think the Mariners are up there. Like now thinking of it, the Giants are the Giants. They've won semi recently. I don't think there's much pressure there. And
they won 3 and 5 years, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
they're fine.
I think they're okay. Cardinals are sort of the same way, but I don't think there's any pressure for them to win right now. They were so wretched last year that I don't think anybody expects them to win this year. So I think there's zero pressure on that. Astros is interesting to me. I think they've been almost the other way, right? They've been so successful for so long that they do have that pressure to keep it going. So it's a different kind of pressure. Yeah. Instead of just winning because they haven't won in a long time.
And they want to prove they're still that team.
Right.
But I agree with you. I think the Yankees have the pressure of one World Series in 25 years, one in the last 15 does not fly in the Yankees world. And then I think the Mariners have the pressure of never having done it.
Yeah.
And finally having a team good enough that could do it.
So if I had to rank them, I would go Yankees 1, Mariners 2, Astros 3, Padres 4, Giants 5, Cardinals 6.
Yeah, I'd go Yankees 1, Astros 2, Padres. Sorry, Yankees 1, Mariners 2. I would probably go Padres 3, Astros 4, Cardinals 5, Giants 6.
Okay. So, I mean, we're pretty much the same.
Roughly the same.
Yeah.
But I found it interesting a couple of those teams are on that list because I don't think of teams like the Astros, who have won a lot, are under a lot of pressure, but they're under the pressure to prove they can still do it. So it was interesting. I looked at it and I'm like, it's a dumb question. I thought more about it. I'm like, actually, it's interesting. It's an interesting take.
Right, because the pressure goes both ways. The pressure because they haven't won, and then the pressure because we have been winning.
Yep.
And
Agreed.
you got the trash can incident still hanging over their head. Like,
yeah.
I know it was 2017 or whenever, but it still looms. 7 years later, it still looms. So
yeah, it's true.
Wow.
And all right, one final hot take before we got to go, Nick.
Okay.
White Sox, worst team ever?
It's hard to say no, but yeah, I think they got to be.
I said it 2 months ago that I thought we were watching the worst team ever. Then they played a little bit better for a little while, and then they just went right off a cliff again. I think that's the worst team ever. They are wretched. They don't do anything. They don't do anything well. Then you got Andrew Benintendi, who's potentially going to have the worst year or worst season ever. So it's not good.
I just yeah. I don't have anything for that franchise. I mean, did they play tonight? Did they lose tonight?
They just started. They're in Oakland.
Okay. So they have a chance.
Exactly. They're playing, although Oakland's been pretty good the last 2 months. So
yeah,
I wouldn't take that one to the bank just yet.
No. But 21 games in a row if they lose tonight, that would be
bad.
Ridiculous. Crazy.
Bad.
All right. Anything else before we go?
That's it. Let's see if the White Sox continue down their path to history.
Yeah. Crazy. Longest losing streak since the Phillies in 61-23 games.
That's awful.
Let's go White Sox. Let's see if we can get to that record.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So you mean go Oakland to beat the White Sox?
I guess. I don't know. But I'm kind of cheering for the White Sox to get to that record. So I don't know.
If you're gonna go big, you might as well go big.
Yeah. So all right. Well, thank you all for joining us in the chat tonight. That was fun. That was awesome to see you guys rattling off questions and contributing to the show. We always love when that happens. So
yeah, thank you for the help.
Yeah. So if you're listening to and you're joining us in the chat, before you go, just make sure that you like and follow us on Facebook. You can also follow us on Instagram. You can subscribe on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button if you're commenting on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We are on every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live. Sometimes we're watching a game. Sometimes we're, just shooting the bull. But we do a full show like this every Monday. So come and join the discussion. We always have trivia and then current topics. And then sometimes we get into some heated debates as well. So come join the fun. Come join the chat. And thanks, y'all, so much for commenting and joining the show with us. And we will see you next Monday at 8 p.m.